Good morning. Welcome to the Orange County School Board's Rule Development Workshop, which has been scheduled for today for the purpose of discussing School Board Policy DFAA, use of surplus funds. Board members are attending telephonically or in person, so I'll take a roll call. Member Gallo.
Good morning.
Good morning. Member Salamanca.
Good morning.
Good morning. Member Farran.
I'm here.
Good morning. Member Gould, are you on the line with us? Okay, Member Gould was... Okay, Member Gould?
I am.
Thank
Good morning.
you. Good morning. Member Felder? I think she's on her way. Member Castor-Dental?
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Member Byrd is absent from this meeting. And I also want to remind the public that board members will not be engaging in outside electronics or digital communication during the meeting, so we can focus on the business in front of us. To my fellow board members and district staff, when speaking, please make sure your microphone is turned on and speak directly into it so our YouTube and Orange TV viewers can hear you clearly. And again, to those who are in attendance or watching us remotely, thank you for participating. We would now like to take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, because this is not a regularly scheduled school board meeting, there will be no non-agenda public comment period in which the public would normally address the school board on relevant topics that are related to the work of the board. Should you wish to address the school board on another topic, please do so at our next regularly scheduled school board meeting. And I don't believe we have, do we have any members of the public who would wish to speak?
No, ma'am, we do.
All right, thank you. All right, we will move right into our workshop. Dr. Williams, you're recognized.
Good morning. Chair Jacobs, can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Chair Jacobs, board members, this morning we have our Chief Financial Officer, Doreen, as well as Steve Compton, the Director of Treasury Services, that will present to us, or to you all, this morning, and thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Concolino,
Good morning.
you're recognized.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Jacobs, board members, and Deputy Superintendent Williams. Today we bring to you the proposed revisions to Policy DFAA, Use of Surplus Funds. The agenda includes our timeline, summary of actions, proposed revisions, next steps, and then questions and discussion. The tentative schedule is as follows. Policy DFAA was brought to Cabinet on August 21st. The work session was held August 24th. Today, September 14th, is the Rule Development Workshop, and board approval is scheduled for September 26th. And now the revised Policy DFAA, Use of Surplus Funds. The purpose. Policy DFAA is being revised to include updates to the safekeeping custodial section by a third-party custodian as it relates to securities that are purchased by the district. The action summary: revisions have been made to the existing policy language to include content, formatting, and terminology edits consistent with the Florida Administrative Code. And now we'll review the red line version of Policy DFAA. This past May, we were notified by our current custodian that they were no longer going to provide custodial services to clients. Custodial services are provided by financial institutions by holding securities in our name. They also administer the monthly principal and interest payments we receive. Several banks were contacted in order to find a replacement custodian, and as part of the discussion, we provided a copy of our policy to make sure that they could abide by it. Numerous banks had reservations about the language in the safekeeping custody of investments section of the policy. That section was originally adopted in 2010, and the industry has had changes since then. Here is a summary of the proposed policy changes, which begin on page 7 of Policy DFAA. The first change is to Section 16A. The original policy states, "All securities, with the exception of certificates of deposit, shall be held with a custodian." We are adding local government investment pools and money market funds that do not have to be held by a custodian. These are classified as securities, although not individual bonds or treasuries. However, it is unrealistic to have these funds under a custodian. We have direct access to these funds and to move the money as warranted. Additionally, in this section, the definition of third-party custodian was removed as it is encompassed in the other sections. And the policy will read, "All securities, with the exception of certificates of deposit, local government investment pools, and money market accounts, shall be held with a third-party custodian. And all securities purchased by and all collateral obtained by the district shall be properly designated as an asset of the district. The securities must be held in an account separate and apart from the assets of the financial institution. The custodian shall accept transaction instructions only from those persons who have been duly authorized by the superintendent or designee in writing. No withdrawal of securities, in whole or in part, shall be made from safekeeping or shall be permitted unless by such a duly authorized person. In Section 16B, the superintendent or designee can enter into agreements with a custodian that doesn't require board approval. The policy will read as, the superintendent or designee shall execute all third-party custodial agreements. Such agreements may include letters of authority from the board, details as to the responsibilities of each party, method of notification of security purchases, sales, and delivery, procedures related to repurchase agreements and wire transfers, safekeeping and transaction costs, procedures in case of wire failure or other unforeseen mishaps, and describing the liability of each party. The last change to this policy is in 16C to streamline the language. The policy will read as, the custodian shall provide the board with safekeeping receipts that provide detailed information on the securities held by the custodian. Security transactions between a broker-dealer and the custodian involving purchase or sale of securities by transfer of money or securities must be made on a delivery versus payment basis, if applicable, to ensure that the custodian will have the security or money as appropriate in hand at the conclusion of the transaction. Securities held as collateral shall be held free. Lastly, on page 9, section 17D, formatting edits are proposed to remove the letter S, the addition of quotation marks, as well as the removal of a comma. And now I'll turn it back over to Dr. Williams and the board for comments or questions.
Chair Jacobs, board, do you have any questions? And thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. Do we have any questions? I don't see anything. Let me ask Member Gould, who's on the line with us. Member Gould, if you have any questions, now would be the time to pose them. Okay, I don't think we have any questions.
Sorry, unmute was
Oh.
a challenge.
That's okay. Any questions?
Not about the policy, but maybe if we could just hear a little bit more about the background for this necessary change.
Mr. Compton?
Sure. So yeah, we were contacted by our current custodian that they're no longer going to be in that line of business. We did several searches, talked to several banks in town that provide that service, because not all of them do. And one of them that we found that was suitable for us, trying to think. So yeah, we did find one that was suitable for us. So the assets just transfer over to the new custodian. Life goes on as normal in that situation. I'm not really sure what else to add to that.
Well, November 1st is our deadline.
Yeah, so
We need
in
to have
November was the
everything moved.
deadline, so in October, we do need to get this transaction moved over, the assets moved over.
All right.
Okay, thank you. That gave me the background I was looking for.
Okay.
One of the questions that we received, or I did, I'm sure the rest of the board did, was from CTA President Clinton McCracken, and it's regarding deferred teacher pay and the interest that's earned on deferred teacher pay and how that's accounted for and what it's used for.
So when interest is applied, or so, the district has many investment accounts, money market, bank accounts. So everything is pooled for the month, and interest is applied to the funds that have balances on a percentage basis. It doesn't go down to the minute level. It's general fund gets this, food service gets that. it's on those broad levels. It's not, interest doesn't work down to individual small levels, so.
And interest is part of our operating budget, and we record that as revenue.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's, I'm glad he raised the question, because there's a belief out there by some of our teachers that it's a huge amount of money, and they don't know what it's being used for. So I hear what you're saying, that we don't have like a line item where we account for it separately, but whatever that amount is, it is earning interest at whatever rate the whole pool is. We should be able to calculate it, at least get a rough estimate. And then, so it was two parts. One, what is the amount of interest, so that we can dispel any misconceptions about the amount of money? And then what impact would it have if we ensured that that amount of the interest was always set aside for something that benefited our teachers? Please.
And the interest revenue has been rolled in and is included in our current proposal to them. But we'll look specifically at what that deferred pay looks like and see if we can't apply a figure to that.
Right, right. And I hear what you're saying, because it goes into general revenue, because
Correct.
it goes into the bucket that we're allowed to use for salaries. It is a portion of the money that we're using for salaries. And since
Exactly.
teachers as a
Yes.
whole, not individually, but as a whole, get the largest share of that pool, it stands to reason that that interest amount is benefiting them.
Absolutely.
But I always, I think we all do, we always hate's a really strong word. I don't like using that word. It always bothers us when there is information that's not accurate, and it's in some way infringing on their trust in the board. And the reason their trust in the board is important, honestly, to me, is not about how I feel. It's about how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not want to be a teacher and think that the elected board is not behind me, fighting for me, making sure I'm getting my fair share. So that's why that trust, I think, is important to all of us.
We
So,
will respond.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Let me call on Member Farran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to touch on the interest as well, and just see if there's a way to make it all very transparent to the public. Is there a place on our website where somebody can go and see how we're investing, what we're investing in?
Well, we do have the quarterly investment report, which actually is coming to the board next Tuesday.
Okay.
But the interest page, where we show prior 2 or 3 years, as well as current year, and what we're projecting or hoping for in 2024, that is part of the detailed budget book, and it is available on our website.
Okay. I think it would be very helpful, because as a typical parent or layperson, you're probably not going to know where to search in the budget, or even that there is a budget to search. I think if there was some way to have this just easily accessible on the website, where you can just click and say, how are we investing our dollars? How are we making sure that we're getting, the biggest bang for our buck, if you will. And then it's just an easy, accessible, you click it, you can see these are the things that we're investing in. This is how much we have earned in interest, so that the public knows that we are trying to make a good faith effort to not just sit on the money, but actually make some.
We're good stewards of the dollars.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Farran. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just make it very simple. I concur with my two fellow board members. Anytime that we can offer transparency, especially for our educational staff, that they could see where the dollars are going, even though it does get absorbed in the general fund and we are using it towards them. I think it's a good thing. Clearly, there's questions from a few of them. So anytime we can break stuff out, I think it's a good thing.
Will do.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay. If not, Deputy Superintendent, anything else for this board?
No, and thank you, and we will get back with you on the questions that were asked this morning. So
All
thank
right,
you.
great. Thank you all very much for the presentation and the good work on this. And if there's nothing else from the board, I think, are we?
We
I
have
know
an
we have a
executive
closed
session.
What time was it scheduled for?
Immediately following this workshop.
Immediately
Yes.
following. Good. I hope that
Yep.
you did it that way. Good,
I
thank
did,
you.
because I didn't want to
Okay.
do a time certain just in case. I wasn't
No,
sure how
good.
long you
I'm
were going
so
to
glad.
take.
Yeah.
So I believe they're ready. So we will be adjourning to conference room E.
E. And
Yes.
do we need to make an announcement at this point in time?
You can either read the script now if you want to, or you can read it when we get into the. Do you want to read the executive session script now?
Yeah.
Let me hand it to you.
I have it. Yeah, we're going to meet in just a moment. We're going to recess here. Everybody can take a personal break, and then we'll meet there. I would ask that we be there in less than 10 minutes if possible. Okay. Pursuant to Section 286.011, subsection 8, Florida statutes, the School Board of Orange County, Florida will meet in an executive session to discuss the pending litigation of Vanessa Acevedo versus OCSB, case number 2022-CA-008-765-0. Sorry. The statute requires us to open the meeting in the public and then adjourn to our closed executive session. It is estimated that this attorney-client session will take approximately 1 hour. Those attending will be myself, Teresa Jacobs, Angie Gallo, Vice Chair, Maria Salamanca, School Board Member, Alicia Ferrant, School Board Member, Pam Gould, School Board Member, Vicki Lane Felder, School Board Member, Karen Kester-Dental, School Board Member, Melissa Bird, School Board Member, Dr. Maria Vasquez, will she be joining us? Dr. Bridget Williams will be joining us. Amy Enval, School Board's General Counsel. Also, Dr. Bridget Williams is our Deputy Superintendent. John C. Palmerini, Deputy General Counsel. Ruth Osborne, Outside Counsel and Court Reporter. Once the executive session is over, we will reconvene the public meeting by opening the door in Conference Room E, and with no further business, we'll conclude the public meeting. We are currently recessing to convene in Conference Room E for the executive session, and the door will be open to the public when we begin that meeting. All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned.